So this show, we lost everybody. And then just 10 days ago, everybody else had 6 weeks to work on. 10 days ago, I reached out to one of my favorite students, one of my favorite humans on the planet, and I said, hey, Jeff, I'm doing this show, Homes Not Borders. I know it's only 10 days, but would you come out and help us, and perform for the folks? And without even question, he said, what do you need? And that's, I'll tell you, that's what this thing is all about, right? I'm serious. This shit ain't easy. And to pull it off in 10 days, all new material then from the last time. He actually performed at the last show we did, so I thought, how appropriate we bring him back for the first show we got. So are you ready for your next comedian? He is one of the best humans I know, managing director at Shift. Put your hands together for Jeff Lesher!
Oh my God. He's right. I only had 10 days to prepare, but, I'm glad I'm at a comedy club. Even the bathrooms are funny. They have a sign on the door that says, only 2 people at a time. Like no thruples. I want to sort of gain some sympathy early. So my wife is sitting right here in the front row. And I'm probably going to make a couple jokes that involve her. My son said, Dad, whatever you do, don't make any jokes about people's wives. And I said, well, if I make a joke about your mom and she doesn't like it, I'll slap myself in the face. On Friday, we're going to have been married for 33 years. And one of the reasons that I said yes to Matt is that, I got a lot of thoughts in my head. I don't really like being around people very much, but I got a lot of thoughts in my head, and so this would give me the opportunity to come out and share some of them with you. So I'm just going to talk you through some things that have been on my mind, and if they amuse you, fantastic, and if not, well, fuck you. As Matt said, I was on the show that resulted in the closure of the world. And we didn't know as much as we know today. And I think that many of us going into the lockdown, which we all thought was going to be about 2 weeks long, it was going to be like staycation camp. Yeah, man, let's build some puzzles and then we'll go back to things as normal. We learned all kinds of stuff over the course of 2 years. Like, we got a sentence for 2 years for doing nothing. We got 2 years because some guy in China wanted to serve fresh bat on his charcuterie board. And by comparison, Jussie Smollett faked his own kidnapping and got 150 days in jail, of which I think he served about 3. So we got like 250 times the sentence. So how do we use that time? Apparently not very well. Because just like then, we are once again hunched over a shared plate of nachos in a poorly ventilated space. So I'm going to try to not be too funny so that there's a minimum amount of laughter. Given that the primary way that the virus still is spread is by the ejection of sputum from the mouth. Sputum, by the way, one of my favorite words. It is the cocktail of mucus and saliva. I'm guessing probably not anybody's favorite cocktail. But, I like cocktails myself, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the aging process later, so brace yourselves. But one thing that I'll give you a sneak preview on is that while I really love an old-fashioned, especially with rye, I now much more frequently mix a cocktail of athletic greens and Metamucil. So that's kind of where this is. I'm not a germaphobe, Amy and I raised 2 kids, and we also have raised 2 dogs. But, being back in public, I've had to do things like, because I was using the restroom back there, perfect my Karate Kid flamingo thing where you don't touch the toilet flusher with anything but the sole of your shoe. So, I can give you some tips on that later. But, I don't want to bang on the pandemic. I grew up most of my life in Virginia. And in Virginia, no matter how bad something is, we like to celebrate it. Oh. Yeah. So, and so let's not come to bury the pandemic. Let's come to praise it. Like, we didn't have to leave our houses. We didn't have to have people over that we didn't like. We didn't have to shake hands. That was, by the way, the first meeting that I had, and I like psyched myself up. It was 18 months in the hole, and then I'm out meeting people, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm no longer going to have to shake hands. Like, we have, gotten the elbow, or just people would be smart enough. You don't, and it lasted for about 15 seconds. Literally, I walked into this restaurant to meet a client, and the guy gets up from the table and extends his hand, and I decided not to do what I really wanted to do, and I shook his hand anyway. And it's just like, what have we learned? What have we done? And so I'm thinking tonight, given that this could be a super spreader event, which is a cadre specialty, by the way. I mentioned sputum. I think you guys could add another set of events called Spuniversity. And we could all learn how to get each other sick as fuck. But I don't really hope that that's true. But given that we have a lot of entrepreneurs in the crowd, why don't we take the opportunity to do what we do best? Like, the pandemic is not over. We just have decided we're tired of it, right? So here we are, and we basically could rebrand this and just say, now less deadly. And sweetened with honey. We have the ability to do this. And so I think we could create the Comedy Loft variant. But my proposal is not only that we have our own variant, but that we make the sort of clarifying factor of it a good thing. Like, instead of losing your sense of taste and smell, you just become less of a dick. Because my sense is that dictum, the emerging dictum, is one of the real maladies of our society. Now, I'm going to work myself into a rant here in a second, which I'm known for, so brace yourselves. But why is it that things that other people like piss us off so fucking much? I mean, seriously, it's like we have taken the idea of "don't tread on me," which was a cry for liberty, and then in more modern times was just like, just leave me alone. Let me do my thing. That's fine. Don't tread on me. But now we've reversed the polarity on that, and it's, I need to tread on you like a motherfucker because I hate whatever it is that you like. I mean, and think about it. So, I have some musical references here, and one is the song from The Sound of Music, was something I really don't understand, but I think is appropriate in the context of this conversation, which is on the list of a few of my favorite things. I like whiskers on kittens. Now, I have to ask the audience, does anybody have a list so long that kitten whiskers are on the list of their favorite things? But if they were, what is it to me? Like, why do I have to not only hate the fact that you like kitten whiskers and wonder why it is that you don't like cat whiskers but only kitten whiskers, and hate you for liking kitten whiskers, but also demand that your cat be killed? And of course, we have Will here, who could probably help us out with the cat killing, So I just think that, rather than try to walk on top of each other with golf shoes or high heels or whatever it is, we just, not tread on each other, just a little more respect. Like with the mask thing, if you want to wear a mask now, that's fine, but don't insist that everybody else wear a mask. And similarly, if you're not wearing a mask and you see somebody who is, you don't need to say to them, you don't have to wear that. Because that's being a dick, and our variant is going to make us be less of a dick. So I'm going to go first. I'm going to try to be less of a dick. And one of the ways is to be, at my age, I'd say wokish. Wokish. I'm too old to be awake. That's more like my daughter, and you have to get everything exactly right, and if you screw up a pronoun, fuck you! I just want to find the sweet spot somewhere between Beto O'Rourke and being a Karen. And wherever that is, it's going to allow me to continue to proudly and as guilt-free as an old Jew can enjoy certain songs, like Thunder Road by Bruce Springsteen. The door's open, but the ride, it ain't free. 70s rebel anthem turned date rape song. But I think we're thinking too hard about that if we go down that road. And because you can misconstrue lots of songs by anything, including their title. Like he has another song, Born in the USA. Now, the song is not the endorsement of this country that the title suggests and many conservative politicians believe. In fact, if you listen to the lyrics, it's terrible. A guy goes off to fight the yellow man, that's really politically correct, and comes back and can't get his job. But, again, if you listen to it, it's like, who would want to live there? And so, respect to the Homes Not Borders crowd, but if we really wanted to limit immigration, rather than build a wall, I would just translate that song into about 23 languages and blast it over the border. And as people heard about this, they would turn around and say, we walked a long way to get here, too bad we can't stay. So there's one other Springsteen song that comes to mind with lyrical challenge, and it's Fire. Now, the Pointer Sisters re-recorded it, and because they were singing from a woman's perspective, the song took on a softer meaning. But he says, you say you don't like it, but I know you're a liar. No doesn't mean no, right? So those are the lyrics. But I think, if we want to get serious about this, we could rewrite the song to reflect a circumstance of today, and we wouldn't like it any better, and it would go something like this if you want to hear a little piece of it. I text you a kiss emoji, and girl, you blocked my number. Now I'm an incel, just like the Unabomber. Ba-da-da-da. I mean, song lyrics can do it, I want to eat you up, girl, just like I'm Jeffrey Dahmer. Yeah, it's pretty gross. So, the song lyrics could be bad, but anyway, so in addition to wokish, I'm fighting age and the gravity and the damage of gravity. I mean, I have to, I try to diet and exercise, hopefully, doing okay here, but gravity is a bitch, and so I sort of have to go through a morning routine that starts, first of all, with I used to get out of bed and stretch. And now I have to stretch in order to get out of bed. But I also have to go through a routine, much like if you remember the old Robin Williams movie, Mrs. Doubtfire, where he turns himself daily into an older British woman. My combination of cosmetic and Spanx for men is necessary to leave the house respectfully. And I would just, a note for Sarah Blakely, if men are going to buy Spanx, they don't want it emblazoned on the shipping packaging that comes to their house that says, Spanx for men. I mean, in addition to calling attention to that, it causes traumatic flashback to when you were a teenager and would go into the drugstore and pray to God that when you got to the front of the line, the cashier didn't pick up the PA system and say, price check on condoms, register 5. It's revealing too much truth. But there was a lot of talk earlier about hair. And I came out in a hat. I like hats, but I also am proud of my bald skull. And I would tell you, not only do I think it looks okay, it certainly looks better than pretending like I had more hair than I did, but it feels great. And it solved a problem that I would have otherwise had, which is, what do you do when your hair turns gray? Unfortunately, hair on my head is not the only place that I have hair. And wherever you have hair, you can have gray. And there are circumstances that cause problems in that regard. So I have to say, and this is a bit of personal news, but I married a woman who was not a Jew, and we agreed to raise our kids in a Jewish home. And one of the penalties of that is that there's no Christmas tree. Well, at a certain point, when my body hair went gray, Will said his girlfriend deflated. If you have gray pubic hair, that's not the only thing that deflates. And my wife sized me up and she said, if there's no Christmas tree in the house, Santa's beard is going to have to go too. So, trying to be a good husband, I complied, and I made myself feel better with the idea that, trimming the lawn might make the tree look bigger. And when I asked her to give me some feedback in terms of how I was doing, she said, "Hey, you look cute." Now, I will tell you that no man wants to hear that when he's fully naked in front of the woman that he loves, that he looks cute. And she saw the hurt in my eyes, and she said, "No, seriously, it's fine. I've of all the dicks I've seen, it's not bad." And then, I should just clarify that my wife is an employment litigator who represents corporations who are often on the hook to defend themselves for bad acts. So she has, in fact, handled a lot of dicks. But all the stress of aging and all the other stuff that comes with it, Amy and I decided to bring a puppy into our family, which is an interesting decision. I mean, we had helped our daughter with some anxiety issues by getting her a dog, and Percy, my daughter's dog, did his job so well that Sophie not only moved out of the house for the first time as a late 20s young woman, but she moved out of the area. And Amy and I were devastated that Percy would no longer be in the house. So we got this new dog, Audie, and it confirms for me that even though I know physically it's possible for a man to become a father at 60, I don't want to be. I mean, I've already raised my kids, and now I have this dog. They are these demanding little creatures whose lives you have to plan your entire life around. I mean, it's like going back to when your kids are little. But I try to really get into these things, right? So I like schedules, so she's on a schedule. And I have this really effective way of helping her go through her routine, which has a lot to do with going to the bathroom, because that's a big thing in any young creature's life, especially a dog. And being a fan of music, I help her with peeing by rewriting the lyrics to a Beach Boys song. Would you like to hear what we sing when we go outside? So if you know the song Surfin' Safari, this is the song that I sing to my little Cavapoo, Audie. Come on, everybody, it's a pee-pee safari. 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 Let's go pee-pee now. Everybody's learning how. Come on and go pee-pee with me. And it works. But you know what works even better is for the pooping part of the equation, which is even more important. She has to do a little dance, to find exactly the right place and the right time and the right position. And sometimes, man, she can twirl and twirl, and she's not aware that in the urban setting that we live, that there's often not only debris everywhere, but there are trees and there's caution tape where somebody got killed and all this other stuff. And it's like doing the limbo and the cha-cha all at the same time. But that's the name of the poop song, cha-cha-cha. And it's magic. Cha-cha-cha, cha-cha-cha, cha-cha-cha. And as she gets closer, I get more intense. Cha-cha-cha, cha-cha-cha. And then success. And I can really relate to this because at my age, my urethra flows like a fire hydrant that's open in the summertime. But the other part of me has turned into a human Pez dispenser. And it's gotten to the point where I actually find myself sitting in the bathroom chanting softly, cha-cha-cha, cha-cha-cha. So I'll leave you with that thought and my abiding appeal to be less of a dick.
Jeff Lesher, big round